Welcome everyone to Living Southern Oregon. If you are enjoying the information and places and people that I'm bringing to you, I would love for you to like and subscribe to the channel. That would really help me out. So please like and subscribe. Today, I'm really excited to bring to you Ken Snoke. So Ken is here local in the Applegate Valley here in Southern Oregon and has a company called Unmanned Aircraft. And we're going to learn a little bit about that title and why that's important. But their big product is the Hovercrane. So super interesting company. I love that it's right here in Applegate Valley, and it's just something that's totally different. And so that's why I kind of wanted to highlight you and feature you on the channel. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit about the name. You're saying that the name in particular, American Unmanned Aircraft. Why the name?
The largest drone company in the world is called DJI. They make wonderful products and they're a great company, but they're a Chinese company. And a lot of those drones were being used for inspections of critical infrastructure in the country. And so that includes bridges and buildings and railroads and agriculture and even things like military bases and things like that. And so because of the restrictions for transferring information according to that regulatory structure called NDAA compliance, some of the Chinese drones started to become restricted because they were transmitting a lot of important information that they didn't want out of the country, essentially. So the need for American-made unmanned and uncrewed aircraft became much more important over the last just couple of years. And so since we are, one of our targets was to be fully NDAA compliant and be all American made and fall under that regulatory structure. So we thought the name would be useful in conveying that message, yeah.
So tell us about the Hovercrane. This thing is super cool. You're going to get to see some videos of it, and tell us a little bit about what it does and what it's used for. What are the primary...
So that really goes back to the founder of the company, a good friend of mine named Clay McRoy, and he's an aviation guy, a helicopter pilot and mechanic and crew chief over the years. And he noticed that a lot of things that are being accomplished with a helicopter could potentially be more efficiently accomplished with a large drone. But when he started looking around, what he mostly saw were drones that were getting bigger, but they were really hobby drones that were being expanded. They weren't being designed and built from the perspective of aviation. And so that was his idea, was why don't we build one, but build it more from an aviation perspective to do a lot of these heavy lift jobs. And that's where the Hovercrane came from. So that's a fairly large, 5 or 6 feet, you can see it, drone that we are building to carry between 10 and 50 pounds payload right now, with goals of increasing that over time. And it's all aluminum. It's built really rugged and tough. It's built very differently than a lot of the other drones out there. Yeah.
And so what are some of the uses? I know you mentioned agriculture, search and rescue. Search and rescue makes sense with cameras and being able to find folks that way. I'm assuming that's the main...
That's one of them, but what's really neat with this is that once you identify somebody, we can get materials really quickly. So in search and rescue scenarios, obviously every minute counts. People die of exposure very quickly, even in water rescues, but in mountain rescues and things like that. And oftentimes it's challenging to get to people. So to be able to just really quickly get, a radio, some, a coat, some food, some water, some basic medical supplies, things like that is the idea that if a smaller infrared camera drone could quickly search and identify somebody right on the heels, we could be there quickly with materials.
Wow,
was one of the ideas for search and rescue.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
And then moving materials is important in a lot of different industries, things like construction, you can imagine, big buildings, moving things, utility work like we were talking about, when people are on the larger utility towers moving tools and supplies to them. Firefighters, there's kind of a logistics support piece of being able to shuttle, again, tools, water, gear quickly to people. And in the military, we're working with the Air Force now for expeditionary resupply missions. So same thing, shuttling medical supplies to places that are challenging to get to with either a larger helicopter or a Humvee, for example, because they're kind of limited to that. It's either ground supply or going to a giant helicopter right now. So being able to do these kind of quick shuttling of materials is a useful tool for some of the military scenarios. So precision agriculture is a up and coming field where instead of using ground equipment to just spray entire fields, you can spot spray with a drone. You can use cameras and intelligence to identify which areas of a field need maybe more fertilizer or things like that, and do it a lot more precisely with tools like this.
What are you kind of seeing for the future?
Yeah, so Clay came to me a few years ago with the idea, and we started doing some early work, or he started doing some early work. I was mostly just kind of keeping track, and he started to get the initial designs engineered and started building prototypes. And I guess the very end of 21 is when I jumped on full time and really started working with him. And then Heidi came on shortly after, Heidi Nelson, and Philip, our machinist, and then we've grown from there. But so we've been going at it pretty hard for a couple of years. Yeah.
All right.
And so now it's, really final prototype development. We're looking forward to delivering the first aircraft to both the Air Force and to the agriculture sector in June, we're hoping. So,
all right.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And then looking at future models, larger, maybe smaller. Yeah, but
Wonderful.
Probably larger.
Probably larger.
Yeah. It's kind of neat. It's happening right out here in Ruch and the Applegate.
I know.
It's really fun.
No, it's wonderful. Thank you so much. I
Of
really
course.
appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much, everyone, and we'll see you again next time.